be the ones making the decisions to lead us on later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Ron Blackman.
I'm supposed to be saying Ron Blackman every time. That's Ron Blackman. Once again, it's going to go out to the community. You know, you're going to have to decide if you want to spend more money. You know, everybody talks about Act 388. I assume everybody knows what Act 388 is. You know, basically it deals with your property taxes. You know, in 2006, we raised sales taxes, thinking that was going to cover the cost of schools. Went down, you get a break on property taxes. Act 388, that's basically what it is, but nobody explains what it is. So you got to decide if you're going to have a break on your property taxes or not. You're going to have a bond referendum. If you're going to close schools, if you're going to close schools and they're going to build new schools, it's going to happen. Once again, it's going to come to the community, and this is seat 9, but you're going to have to everybody's vote in every district to get it passed. Once again, somebody just mentioned about we owe a lot of money. Well, once again, you're going to owe more money, which is going to be fine. I'm not saying yes or no here. I'm saying if it needs to be done, the people will choose. But believe me, when they start choosing, what's in it from my side of town? What's in it from my area? Okay, so here we go. I go back to the same thing. We've got to work collectively with a board to get this done. So that would be the thing. You, as a community, have to decide how you want. People don't mind paying extra taxes. I don't believe that. If what they pay them for, they're getting. So if you get what you pay for, you're okay with it. I would be if I'm going to get quality schools, better schools. If they build a North Central Elementary out here and I get a good school out of it, I don't mind paying extra taxes. But that's something that you're going to have to decide as a community. Kershaw County is going to have to decide it. Thank you. Ron Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Blackman. Ms. Celia Boland.
Celia Boland. Being a math teacher for 18 years of my 30 years of teaching, I'm having a problem understanding why it would take $30 to $35 million to renovate those 3 schools, whereas you could build brand new school 1 and consolidate for $13 million. I would want to see an itemized list of what was going to be done at all of the schools that were going to be renovated. I want to see a bulleted list of what you're doing and how much it costs. I also would want to see an item assessment, needs assessment of the new school that would be built if you consolidate these 3 elementary schools. I feel like the timeline would be very important. We all know that building costs go up all the time, literally on a daily basis. I also think the public definitely should be involved. I would like to have open meetings, like an open house at each school, so parents in the community could go in and see what renovations were going to be performed, and they would have that list knowing how much it was going to cost. And then I think it should be the community. It should be left up to the people that their children would be attending those schools to voice their opinions and to let the school board know. Personally, I believe, from what I answered in the last question, small community schools. I found with teaching, kindergarten through 12th grade, no matter what age the child is, you still have the same basic needs, and you need that community and parent and all the involvement to make a strong, strong school. I'm afraid that if we consolidate, especially at the elementary and middle school level, you would lose that community and parent input, and that would be, unfortunately, detrimental and not help the children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boland. Mr. Lewis Clyburn.
Y'all wearing my new hip out. Lewis Clyburn. Approve bond referendum to build new schools. One of the first questions a citizen should ask: do we want to attract new industry and business to our county? In seeking economic development, one of the first aspects of a community is the potential development. They look at your schools. Before a referendum or a bond or in-depth study and analysis of each school representative would need to be completed and presented to the community for decisions and inputs. The school board then would report justifying the bond referendum. In paying for the new school, we would also need to look at ways to do that. And Ron mentioned Acts 388, and you look at that, and that was where you don't pay school tax on your home residence, but you pay taxes. We increase sales tax 1%, businesses, rental property, cars and boats. Well, let me tell you something about cars and boats. I go out and buy a $10,000 car or boat, I pay $300 sales tax. Mr. Galloway Enterprises goes out and buy a $100,000 boat. He pays $300 sales tax. We need to look at our sales tax, and maybe that's somewhere we can get more money. And we have a number of questions we need to study. Is it cost effective? The site to build it on. Phase 1, we did that and went under budget. The school board should be commended for that. And we can do it again. There's nothing we can't do in Kershaw County if we set our minds to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clyburn. And let me just say, I didn't realize how open-ended that question was until all the candidates answered, and well done. All 5 gave very interesting takes and positions, so well done, candidates. This next question, I'm going to make it a little bit of a two-parter. First question, what is your position on allowing students who live in the North Central area to transfer to schools in Camden and West Wateree so they can be closer to where their parents work? And on top of that, this is kind of optional. This is something that I've seen, not so much in Kershaw County, but around the state of South Carolina. It's becoming a problem in athletics where coaches will recruit. And again, I haven't seen it in Kershaw County, but I've seen it in the state of South Carolina. Would you try to put restrictions on something like that? I'll start with Mr. Philip Thompson.
Say the first part again, please.
Yes. What is your position on allowing students who live in the North Central area to transfer to schools in Camden and West Wateree so that they can be closer to where their parents work?
Philip Thompson. I'm not in favor of students transferring to different schools because of inconveniences. There is a great deal of effort that goes into deciding where students need to be, and I think that you open up another whole can of worms if you're going to start having people choose to go to other schools for convenience. And I understand that it is a problem, and it has become a problem with recruiting, as you said, but the primary focus is learning. The primary focus is education, and we have to stick with that. If the schools have to, and I'll say it again, have to be at a standard. The work where someone works cannot be something that has a significant part in that. We need to be concentrating on the learning environment and making sure that the students have what they need in that environment to learn, period. Philip Thompson, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Ron Blackman, your response.
Well, I know everybody's saying he's a football coach. He didn't want one of his best players going to another school. I got mixed emotions about this. It's very good questions. It's tough questions. Y'all have asked some good questions tonight. Transferring to another. Well, a kid that needs to go to a small kid that's going to school in Lugoff from this area. Mama goes right by the school. Bus picks them up early in the morning. And, they got immediate bus, walk down the road, dirt road somewhere for a long time in the morning, but it's convenient for them. Versus, it looks like he's going to be a pretty good athlete, so we better make sure we got him over here. We can't let him transfer somewhere else. I understand those things. I went with the high school league a long time, and you always had an appeal, and you always had a process of where if a necessity occurred, and listen to my words very carefully, if a necessity occurred that was safer for the child, more convenient for the family, economically for the family, they could fill out papers and you could go to the board, bring it to the board, and the board would hear the case, or have a special committee. They would hear the cases and decide on a case-by-case basis based on a hardship. You know, I had a kid transfer one time into school that was getting beat up because they was stealing his tennis shoes. And Grandma had come and live with Grandma, but his family didn't move. High school league didn't let him come to my school. He'd come to school, but he couldn't play ball. They was just beating him up every day, taking his clothes or his stuff, his tennis shoes and so forth. And it was easier to come to the other school, it wasn't North Central, during my career, because he graduated and became a better student. It was safer for him, a safer environment. Now, I'm not saying that's always the case, but I'm not saying we can say, no, you can't do it. Bam. I'm not saying that there can't be a reason for somebody to have a hardship case. If a school's full, everybody can't go down because they don't like the coach and they don't like the teacher or they don't like this. That's not the reason. The high school league deals with a lot of transfers and a lot of reasons why. And I think on a case-by-case basis, there could be situations to where a transfer could be allowed, but it has to be something extreme. Also, if they provide transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Blackman. Ms. Celia Bolin.
Celia Bolin. I am not sure if I would define a hardship case being closer to parents' work. That is more of a convenience. I think it would need to be decided by a committee or a hearing officer in our district to decide if students were able to transfer to different schools. There are a lot of issues. If you have a school, like one of the new schools that I opened, and we had overcrowding almost instantaneously. We had a cutting-edge technology program. Once the robotic team won state championship, went to national and international, everybody wanted to come there because it was a new school with new technologies and new exciting things that were happening. If the school is crowded and overcrowded, then there is no room for people to transfer. And we do have many schools in our district that already are at capacity. Another issue would be transportation, certainly. I don't think the district would be able to provide transportation and buses. We were just talking about cutting costs, so it would have to be up to the parents to provide the transportation. My husband and I were just having a conversation driving home from the beach. One of his ex-players who coaches as the head basketball coach at Lancaster High School just had this happen. One of his best players isn't returning. He got recruited by another school and transferred and is now moving or living with someone where he can go to a different school. So under no circumstances, if a student felt like he was getting more press or more playing time or a better chance for a college scholarship, should he be able to transfer for athletic purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bolin. Mr. Clyburn.
Lewis Clyburn. Transferring students from one school to another. You know, we have a lot of good teachers and a lot of good schools, and, you know, we can't overload one school or others everybody's talked about. You've got to look at these schools, and that's why it's important for us to have this referendum and build some new schools. If we had all our schools equal, I'm sure everybody wants to go to Jackson and Camden Middle School, these new schools. So if we can get all our schools in this county equal, maybe we won't have very many requests for transfers. But if we do, I think we need to look at them on the individual case, if you have a hardship case. And, you know, I don't know who has that responsibility in our school system, but we can look at that, each case individual. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Kenneth Gary.
G. Kenneth Gary, School Board District 5. Mr. Thompson started off concerning the transfer. He had some great points, Ms. Boland had some great points. Coach Blackman had some excellent points from a coach perspective, and Mr. Clyburn gave a great understanding. I believe that the policy at hand in the district should be left to the district administration, Dr. Morgan, and if it needs to be changed, it would be changed. I am not for causing problems or dividing the community with transfers at this present time. Show me a policy, show me what needs to be done, and I would take the appropriate steps as a trustee for District 5 and vote in the appropriate manner. Parents need to know that the trustees are for them as advocates for their children as well as for the teachers and administration. So I would not just jump on the bandwagon with the transfers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. This concludes the pre-prepared question-answer portion of tonight's forum. We will now draw from the audience questions. Unfortunately, in the interest of time, we will only have time to draw 3 additional questions. And just so everyone knows, you may have seen myself and Liz Horton take 3 questions out of the box to approve them to make sure they weren't questions that were already asked during the pre-prepared question part of the forum. So question number 1, again, these are the audience questions, and this goes to all candidates. How do you believe that technology should be used in the classroom? I'll start with Mr. Ron Blackman and go down the table.
Well, we all talk about global education. We talk about technology. I think it's very, very important to have sound technology, and when you can afford it, and everybody can use it. But I think sometimes in technology, electronically, we're doing things that we're not taught. And I want to say briefly, I'm going to try to do this quickly. The reason I'm standing here tonight is because I had good teachers. I wasn't a very bright person, or I didn't always behave correctly. But I had a teacher that stood in front of the class and actually taught me. And when I went in service, 69 and 70, during that active time, I came out, I went to college under my GI Bill. And I was on probation for the first semester. But my retention from what that teacher taught me was extremely important. Now, I don't know that kids are graduating with the retention level of the subject matter because of our technology. And I'm not sure that technology has given us, a lot of this technology has given us great feedback. Laptops, I picked up a bunch of them in the gym. iPads now, they're going to break easy. You know, but technology is important. I think it's good going into the 21st century. But I think we need to make sure we still teach the 3 R's in education.
Thank you, Mr. Blackman. Celia Boland.
Celia Boland. My last 10 years, I worked in a technology lab. And so, to me, technology needs to be taught as a basic skill. 10 years ago, I wanted to go for national board certification. And I was told I could not because my program was too advanced. I was running a tech lab for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. They were doing PowerPoint, Excel spreadsheets, web pages. They were doing front page with HTML code and doing robotics. Digital camera photography. They were embedding all kinds of things into their PowerPoint presentations. And still, when I left that school, I was told, your program is too advanced. We can't let you do national board certification because technology, that's something they do in high school. That's the way we need to teach all of our students in Kershaw County. We're doing a disservice to the students in Kershaw County if we do not teach them technology skills. They're digital natives. We're fossils. They know technology. I was in a program where instead of taking the students' digital phones from them, we used them in the classroom, and they used their digital phones to learn. And it was successful. We need to realize in the 30 years that I've been teaching, students have changed. So therefore, we have to change also with the times. It is imperative, again, to be competitive in a global society that our students are 100% technologically advanced when they graduate from high school in Kershaw County. I'm extremely proud of the iPad initiative. I can't wait to see those in the high schools. We need to go to other schools that have been using them for 2 or 3 years and use best practices. Don't reinvent the wheel, but let's see what's working at those high schools and bring it to Kershaw County so we can soar and be the best in South Carolina with technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Celia Boland. Mr. Lewis Clyburn.
Lewis Clyburn. Technology in the schools is very important. You know, if you don't keep up with the new technology today, you're going to keep getting further and further behind. And, you know, Kershaw County was one of the first schools in South Carolina to provide wireless laptops to the high school students and teachers. You know, I think Kershaw County, we're trying to stay ahead of everybody, and we need to continue to do that. But let's not forget, technology is great, but some of our kids, they're losing their writing skills. You know, they don't know how to write. Some of them, with these computers, we're losing our math skills. So I think we still need to have our math skills, our writing skills, and our communications along with technology. You know, it's important, but we still have to continue to teach these other skills along with technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Kenneth Gary.
Mr. Cupp, will you repeat the question for those at home so they know exactly what I'm addressing?
Yes, sir. How do you believe that technology should be used in the classroom?
Technology itself is a great gift. Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's older, he will not depart from it. Miss Peggy Burrows taught me how to type on a manual typewriter in 1985. My typing skills, 35 words per minute, got up to 45 words per minute. That technology is not of today, but you still need to know how to type. Technology must be used in an appropriate manner. Mr. Clyburn said something that was true, very important. Young people cannot write. They do BRB, LOL, everything simple and short. When you ask them to sign their name, they print it. They print it twice. You ask them to write you a letter, they can't do it. Technology sometimes makes you dumber. Sometimes it makes you smarter. We need to use technology appropriately. I think that if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would like to see students writing on the blackboard, learning to do manuscript again. You know, technology is needed. The iPads are an excellent addition, but however, technology itself has not reached the rural areas of parts of Kershaw County. There's some parents will have trouble getting internet access. So let's look at technology as a great stepping forward, and also look at it in the proper context. Thank you. G. Kenneth Gary, School Board.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Lastly, Mr. Philip Thompson.
Philip Thompson. Ms. Burrows also taught me in typing, and I thought it was a good way to get in a class with a bunch of girls. Thank God I did that. I went for it. Thank God, because I wouldn't have had any typing skills at all. But I do have, now